So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Amanda Pollock. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Works, and with me today is Debbie File from KCI. So tonight we're going to go through information on the project that's about to get started under construction. So first we're going to introduce you to our project team and project partners. We'll review the timelines and the overall improvements that'll be going on, give you some facts on the project, and then really what's probably most important to all of you is what to expect during construction. So unfortunately, Mayor Day can't be with you tonight. He was here at our groundbreaking earlier today, so we welcome you. Thank you for coming. We really want your input throughout this project, and we want to stay communicative with you the whole time.
I'm Debbie Fly with KCI, and tonight we're going to introduce the project team. We are working with Amanda and her staff with the City of Salisbury on the Main Street Phase 2 construction project. KCI Technologies has been hired to do the outreach for the community, as well as construction management and project management. And with us is Peter Bourne, our construction manager in the audience, Dan String, our project manager, and in the back we have Corrado Construction. They will be doing all of the construction for the project, and the project manager in the back is Mike. With this project, we had several project partners. So Chesapeake Bay Trust, unfortunately, could not be here tonight. They are at a retreat. Everybody from Chesapeake Bay Trust is there. But the city did receive a G3 grant from Chesapeake Bay Trust. It's a Green Streets, Green Jobs, Green Towns grant. And Amanda will get that into that a little bit more in the project description. Downtown Salisbury is another partner. And the EPA has a partial funding of the project as well. So we thank our project partners in the endeavor in the project that we've created. On top of this, we have what we call a Tier 1 and a Tier 2 outreach team. Our Tier 1 team is our project partners that are on the board and the city staff. However, we couldn't do a project with a lot of the community organizations involved, so this is our Tier 2 outreach team. We have the Arts and Entertainment District of Downtown Salisbury, the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce, the Maryland Broadband Cooperative, the Tri-County Council for Lower Eastern Shore of Maryland Shore Transit, St. Peter's Episcopal Church, and the Greater Salisbury Committee. What we've asked this group to do is to take our information, our updates, and really be the ears in the community for us and let us know any kind of concerns and disseminate important information that could affect interim services for different businesses, visitors, and guests. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Amanda.
Thanks. So first I want to talk about the project phasing, because the first question we always get is, what do you mean this is Phase 2? Did I miss Phase 1? What happened to Phase 1? Well, as you all may know, Urban Salisbury laid out this plan for Main Street Master Plan back in 2009. And at that time, West Main Street, which is currently the plaza, was called Phase 1. What we are doing first is East Main Street from Route 13 to Division Street. That is Phase 2. And then Phase 3 goes up North Division Street. So we wanted to keep that original phasing the same because we refer back to these drawings a lot. And this was really our guide for design and what the overall plan was. So what we're about to embark on is construction of Phase 2. All 3 phases have been designed. They're all going to get constructed year after year. Subsequently, we won't have any of the construction going on at the same time. And so we're starting with Phase 2. So as I mentioned, it extends from Route 13 to just on the east side of Division Street. So we won't be going into the intersection at this time. Phase 1, I do want to note, because it's going to be a hot topic when that one happens. We are going to change the direction of traffic on West Main Street. Instead of going out of town, traffic will be coming into town. You'll be going eastbound. So with that takes major intersection improvements. So the intersection of Main and Division will have a lot of improvements at that time. But that's not happening in this phase. We're over a year away from that. So the design's been going on for a couple of years now. I think some of you have attended some of the design meetings that we had. It started back in 2014. Then we put the project out for bid earlier this year and hired Corrado Construction, and now we're ready to start. So construction will begin on October 3rd. That is our notice to proceed date. Construction will last on this phase for approximately a year. Their contract is, I believe, 365 calendar days. So this time next year, we'll be looking at almost a completed project. So Phase 1 and 3 will follow after that. There will probably even be a little bit of a gap because we want to take lessons learned from this first phase, apply it to the next phases, and then we'll have to put that project out for bid. So we'll be easily next fall before we start on Phase 1 construction. So we're going to go through some of the improvements. This project is a full street reconstruction project. We are replacing everything, all the utilities, curb and gutter, the sidewalk, and the street. So we're replacing the water mains, sewer mains, storm drains, and we're doing a lot of pedestrian improvements. That's one of the things that'll be the most noticeable when we're done. So as you can see on this exhibit, we're adding brick paver crosswalks along the road, and it'll really make the crosswalks stand out, which will make them more pedestrian friendly. And in addition, at each crosswalk, we'll have a bump out. So it's a landscaped area with curb that actually bumps out into the street. So a pedestrian crossing the street is standing out in the bump out, which is still a safe area protected by curb. You can see traffic better and traffic can see you better. It also shortens the crosswalk, so it's a safer distance to cross the street. So we'll be doing that throughout the entire street. We'll have the same sidewalk width as we do now. We'll be replacing the sidewalk, and in addition to that, there will be a strip of porous pavers so that water can go through them along the sidewalk, along the curb line. This is where our trees, our street trees will be planted, and our street lights. And the porous pavers will let water drain through the pavers to the trees in that area. That's another nice aesthetic element, so you'll see more brick elements along the street as well. Another big topic is always parking. So right now on Main Street we have 60 parking spaces just in this area of East Main Street between Route 13 and Division. When it's done, we'll have 56. So there's a slight decrease due to some of the bump outs and islands that we have. However, when we do the next phase, West Main Street, which is the current plaza, we're actually adding 25 spaces in that area. So along the Main Street corridor, we're adding parking spaces on a whole. So I don't want anyone to think that we're reducing parking overall, we're adding significant parking. So there will be still parking on both sides, an 8-foot parking lane. And one of the other major changes that you'll see is we will not have individual parking meters. We're going to have parking pay stations, like you can see in the photograph, where you pay at a station, you get a ticket, and you put it in your windshield. Our procurement department's looking into options for having apps where you can refill your time on an app or use a credit card, and so we're trying to make this as state-of-the-art as possible. But this will be a nice change. But we do have 9 of these parking stations between Route 13 and Division Street. So you won't have to walk very far still to be able to get a parking ticket to put in your window. So you'll also see a lot of new street amenities. We have selected a style of street furnishings that will match our new street lights that include waste receptacles and recycling containers. There will also be cigarette waste receptacles placed along the street. We're adding, just in this phase, 10 bicycle racks and 29 benches. You'll see a great increase in the amount of benches in the area, also to be pedestrian friendly and allow people to walk the street and sit and relax. And we're adding 59 street lights. So we're taking down the existing lights that are there now. And actually, if you walk or drive down Main Street, you'll probably see 6 different styles of street lights. When this is done, you will see one style of street light. We're standardizing on a new city style. Everything is going to match that. And again, the street lights match all these other site furnishings that we're putting in. So this will be one of the aesthetic qualities when it's done is it will really look like a complete street. It's cohesive from start to finish. There are some improvements also to the way outdoor dining areas are located. So Mojo's and also some of the restaurants on the plaza will still have outdoor dining. We're not taking that away. But what we're doing is changing how it's located with the building. So if you see the picture there, the sidewalk will continue straight through. So instead of a sidewalk weaving around a dining area, your sidewalk stays straight, your pedestrians are walking in a straight normal pattern, and the dining is then in front of that across from the restaurant. So that's typical in many cities. We decided to model that here. So we do have dining areas along the street that will be very similar to the way Mojo's is set up now with fencing and that type of thing. So they're located in one of the bump out areas. Okay, so I wanted to touch on a couple of facts that are interesting to this project. So we spent a lot of time talking about stormwater. Right now, any rainwater that falls on Main Street goes right into an inlet and right out to the river. There is no treatment. So if there's oil or grease or gasoline or anything else on the road during a rain, it gets washed right into the river. So one very big element of this project is we are treating the stormwater that comes off of Main Street. So you will see areas that look like nice landscape areas that are actually bioretention areas. They're stormwater features that the rainwater will go into, and it helps filter out pollutants and nutrients in the water before it goes to the river. So the stormwater will still go out to the river, but it will be treated first. So we had actually applied, as Debbie had mentioned, for a Green Streets, Green Jobs, Green Town grant that Chesapeake Bay Trust administers, and we were awarded the maximum grant for this year, which was $75,000 for our bioretention units. So we were very pleased with that. We're happy to be able to treat the stormwater coming off of the road. It's a dramatic improvement over what we have now. So that's one element. I also think it's important to note that the existing trees will be removed. So in this phase of the project, we have 12 trees. They will all be coming down. And when you look at the trees now, in a lot of places the sidewalks heaved up around them, the trees are coming up, their roots are up in the sidewalk, and they're really too big for an urban setting. So we will be replanting trees, and we have 44 new trees going back in this phase. They're native trees. Their roots will be managed with a tree root device to aim the roots down. And as I mentioned, we have the porous pavers, so rainwater is going down to the roots, so they are getting direct water so that the roots will continue to grow down and won't be heaving up the sidewalk. But that will be a big change, and especially during construction, everything's going to get torn up and be dusty, and I know it's going to be hard to see sometimes when the trees are coming down, but in the end, it's going to look very nice, well planned with new trees that can grow in an urban environment. We also wanted to mention that the downtown trolley has agreed to reroute their services during the duration of the project, and they're going to go ahead and start that now. Shore Transit's been a great partner with us and help modify the trolley route to still, not lose any service for their customers. Another big component of the project is broadband. So the city has partnered with Maryland Broadband for this, and we are installing conduit for broadband along the entire length of the project. It'll include stubs to each building so that any building could get broadband service. So in this first phase, we're not actually connecting to any live fiber optic wires. That will happen once we do the next phase on West Main Street, once they go down the old plaza. Maryland Broadband's facilities are in the Mill Street area. So that's when we'll actually be activated and the lines will be live, but we're laying all the groundwork now. Now that we have the streets torn up, all the sidewalks will be torn up, this is the time to add broadband in. And the last component I wanted to talk about were the bike lanes. In this phase of the project, we are adding shared bike lanes, so there will be markings on the ground as well as signs to say share the road and to make sure that we are being bicycle friendly and letting people know that bicycles are welcome to ride on the street. Okay, so here's the meat of the presentation is what to expect during construction, and Debbie found a great graphic that great things come out of patience, and we are going to be seeking everyone's patience for the next year. The way construction will occur is it will be block by block. You're not going to see the entire road torn up at once. The entire road's not going to be blocked off on day one. It will be blocked off block by block. There are extensive traffic control plans, which I'm sure Corrado could speak to, that let them know what they can have closed at any given time. So they will always maintain access to properties. So you will always be able to walk into your property. You may not be able to park at your front door sometimes, but you will have access to your properties. Between KCI being on site, we will make sure we help coordinate your delivery schedules. Anything that's important to make sure it gets to your front door, we'll work with you on that. And we didn't mention before, but KCI will have a full-time inspector here all the time. So we will have an inspector on site that's representing the city's interests. And we'll also talk about a hotline in a little bit. So there will be noise. Construction will be going on. There will be heavy equipment. So during the day, there will be dust and there will be noise. We're respectful of the fact that we are in a business district and that there are residences here. So we are careful about that, and we'll try to minimize the disruption, but I want to be honest with you, we will be under construction. It will look like a construction site. So we will be doing utility work. So your water and your sewer will stay active, but there may be a period where they say, I need to shut down your water for 2 hours so we can tie your service over. So you will be notified of anything like that. If there's ever an impact to you and to your utility service, you should be notified in advance unless an emergency happened and they had to turn it off immediately. But we will do our best to keep that communication open, which was the next item, open communication. So Debbie will talk a little bit more about our outreach efforts, but the city has hired KCI to really help us communicate with you, make sure that you have all the information up to date, the schedule, the working areas, and everything else. So really the way construction will start, they'll be doing utility work first, and they're probably going to start at the Route 13 end, I believe. So they'll have a block closed off, they'll work in the road, they'll probably, I think, work from behind the curb to the center line, so sidewalks will still be open at the beginning. But then that'll be ever changing, so that changes week by week based on where construction is, and we'll keep you informed of that. So KCI is providing the professional services to help ease the residents and business owners through this construction period.
With that, as Amanda said, we have a large outreach component. So today we do thank everybody that came to the groundbreaking ceremony. We had at 3:30. That was a great audience. We had equipment downtown and really got to do a nice launch. A couple weeks ago, we went door to door to all the stakeholders and the businesses that we directly affected, giving out flyers, talking to anybody with any kind of concerns. So what we have developed now is, now that we've done our launch and we're going to have the actual construction project start, how can we better help any kind of situations or concerns or questions you have? So what we've developed with the city's assistance is we are going to have a link, which you will have flyers on the back table. They look like this. We're going to have a link directly to the project, and we'll be having a live Google map up. So at any time you can click on this map and find out what side of the sidewalk is closed, if we have a temporary disruption of any kind of utilities, where we're at in the project, if we can forecast moving forward. So it'll be live. We'll be doing these updates several times throughout a day, a week, and the month. We thought that was the best resource, so you may not have to interrupt our construction workers. We really want the contractor and the inspectors to do their job. We've also dedicated a phone line that is in the flyer. It is dedicated just for this project. So we will have that phone line open for the duration of the project. I'll be answering those calls as well as another staff member of mine. So that is a phone line that we will call and respond in a timely manner to any concerns or questions, comments that you have. We'll be logging those in. They'll be logged in. They'll be reported back to Amanda and her staff as far as what action we took, what the problem was, how we rectified it, and get advice to move forward. So the biggest resource we can say is you definitely want to go to the website link, which we'll put up on the screen in a minute, and use the phone. The best thing I can tell you is the website, because in the middle of the night, in the morning, if your staff's coming in, you have relatives coming in, any kind of court cases or anything, that's really going to be the best resource you can have at any time. So the city will be maintaining that through our press releases. So we're going to ask for the open communication. Like I said, we really want to focus on as many minimal disruptions as possible. So we prefer that phone line to be called rather than to go out there and talk to our inspectors. That just adds on more time, and we really want to stay on the project and get on to the next phase. So we're going to ask for patience. Once again, we put great things come out of patience, and that's on all ends. That's on our end too. So we do appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to working on the project and as far as the outreach as well. All right. So with that, I want to let you know we have some boards. We have construction boards up on the right-hand side. It starts with the entire phase of the project. We've highlighted in green the landscaped areas that have the trees and the landscaping, what the parking looks like, what the sidewalk is, how many trees. So you'll have to go a little bit closer to those boards to be able to read those. But that'll kind of help. How does that affect your business directly? That is what it's going to look like in the end of the result of the project. And once again, like I said, we're here for the outreach, but the biggest thing is going to be the patience and the disruptions. And I think we have a really good team, a really good communication. So please keep the communication open at all times. So what we'd like to do is open it up to questions, comments, or concerns for anything we may have not addressed. Any surprises, any concerns, we would really like to know those now going into it. That way we can be able to address them as we move forward in the project. Yes.
The picture you showed about Mojo's, for example, having the sidewalk through it, I know there's some liquor regulations about they have to have their fence within. Does that affect their ability to serve on the other side of the sidewalk?
I believe the mayor was working on those issues, hopefully had worked those out. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that, but I know that was something he was working on. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think I heard that October 3rd is the
Yes.
go date.
Yes.
Okay, and it's a 12-month project for phase 2?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct. Yes. Yes, so you will actually see equipment breaking ground on the 3rd.
They've had some flooding problems in that intersection with Baptist Street. Is there any specific measures being taken to try to alleviate that problem historically?
So we are replacing all the storm drains, which includes changing some of the sizes, and then also by utilizing some of the stormwater for the trees. The stormwater will be able to go through the bioretention areas and go into the areas where tree roots are, as well as then whatever overflows go out to the outfalls. So we'll be putting less stormwater into the storm drain system, so that will help it alleviate the flooding.
You see construction block to block, is there a ballpark timeframe per block to block?
There will be. We don't have that yet, but we will get a specific construction schedule that will show that. And so when we leave a block, it won't be done. So it may be that they leave that block and they put down a base coat of paving so that it could be driven over, but then they're going to come back later and do the sidewalks there. So it may be that they kind of go block by block and then go back and do some other things and do final paving. But we will get that full schedule soon.
Will all the overhead utilities be underground?
No, we're not actually impacting any of the overhead utilities. They'll stay the same.
How many, I'm just confused, it's 2 years or 3 years?
So this-
Because I live downtown and
Yeah.
I work downtown, so I'm trying to.
So that's a good question because we're sort of changing our plan a little bit here. It's planned to be 3 years for everything. However, I'd like to do, what we're proposing now in Public Works is to do all the streets in 2 years. So it was going to be phase 2, then phase 1, then phase 3. But it doesn't work out that well with the intersection. So after phase 1, which is a year, phase 2, which is a year, what we'd like to do is the intersection of Division and Main Street along with both streets. So the next year of construction would be North Division Street, West Main Street, and that intersection. And then the 3rd year, the only thing that's left is the plaza in front of the government office building, right out here. So I think what's most disruptive to residents and business owners are the streets. So I think the streets themselves will be a 2-year process now. The 3rd year would be this pedestrian plaza area. So that's what's working best with the intersection. It's a little bit different than what we may have said in some design meetings, but I think that's going to go a little bit smoother for us.
You're going to change the traffic coming up the plaza.
Yes.
But my other concern was, we live there, we got 3 dogs. We walk our dogs every night, morning and all that. How far, you're getting rid of a lot of the stuff, and you're putting a lot more parking down there.
Yes.
I'm really concerned about noise, cars, all the drunks at the bars at night, in and out of their cars all night. Has there been any sort of thought as to, we have a police officer now that works till 12, that's great, but nothing happens until after 12. Has there been thought to that? Are they adding cameras downtown? Is that part of this? It's just, there's a lot to this that I feel like we're not really getting, just like Mojo's, they've got to change the law for the state of Maryland in order for him to put liquor out there, so he's going to lose his liquor sales outside. I was just talking to him, they've got to change the law that the state has to do that. It's not like it's local.
We don't have cameras as part of this project, so I can't answer a lot of those questions, but I can check with Chief Duncan on that. If they're planning to have police officers stay later, I'm not aware of that plan right now, but I can check with her on that.
Yes.
During outreach, did any of the business owners and restaurant owners voice concern being able to maintain clientele?
Now, when we went door to door, there was probably a small concern with maybe one business downtown, but it was more, I think it's gonna be more when construction starts, how is it gonna affect me? Now that we have equipment on the ground today, it made it a little bit more live, it's happening. So I think that communication is gonna happen at different times, and we wanna be able to resolve those quickly, but I think that most of probably the larger discussions probably took place during the design phase of how things are gonna be done, because that's when all the public input came in. That's when they've talked about the investment, what's gonna be done, how's it gonna look, and we're past that stage, we're to the construction now. But I think it's a case-by-case basis. Some people have delivery in the front, we learned, some people have deliveries in the back, some people have handicap accessibility that they need. So we took the notes of the people that had their needs, so at any time, call if there's any kind of special needs that we can accommodate, we're more than happy to do that. Yes.
Yeah, circling back to the high-speed internet that was discussed earlier today, I think you mentioned that there was going to be like a hub or a strand that's provided to each building. What exactly does that look like? What is that? Is that some type of exterior thing that we tap into for our
Yes,
system?
so with this project, we're not going into any building. So we're providing conduit up to the building, and then I think it's just like a box, almost like a large junction box right at the building. And then Maryland Broadband will go through and contact every business owner and ask them if they want to connect. And then through a contract with them would actually be when a connection would happen through the building. So there are handholds and junction boxes for Maryland Broadband to be able to access the fiber. So there will be one at each building.
Okay, so if we elect to tap into that, then I guess we work out something with Maryland Broadband, and we pay for that for our own individual buildings.
That's exactly right, yes. And not everyone has to participate in that. I mean, there's a choice to that, but we wanted to lay the infrastructure there so that everyone had that opportunity, even if they make a decision in 5 years that they want to connect, it's at their building.
Yes.
For utilities, when they go down, our business is gonna be notified, so it works out with them, so, pardon me, so if we have to close for 2 hours, that's gonna, if the water goes out for 2 hours, we can't do anything.
Yes, so for planned shutdowns, you'll be notified in advance. And not just on the website, anytime there's a utility shutdown, you'll get a door tag and someone will come door to door, and if there's someone there, obviously, they'll hand it to you and talk about it. If there's no one there, they'll hang it on the door.
But nothing about like a good time that would be beneficial to the
Actually,
business
they do
shutdown?
talk, we coordinate all of that, especially based on the duration of the shutdown and in particular with restaurants. So they will talk to you individually. There are also going to be emergencies. I mean, there may be times where just all of a sudden you have no water and there was a water main break or they hit something. But anytime it's planned, you'll be notified well in advance because we do want to coordinate the best time. And there may be times maybe that they have to do work overnight to be able to avoid, shutting down 12 businesses or something. So all of that's going to be worked out as the schedule goes on. But we will notify you as much as possible.
Will that affect businesses on North Division and the plaza on this?
So on this phase, no, it shouldn't, not at all. So right now, we're really only affecting East Main Street. But same will hold true when we move on. It really shouldn't because we have valves at North Division Street, so a water shutdown really should end there. So everything on the plaza in North Division should be normal right now. Do you want to go to the last one?
Yes.
Again, as Debbie mentioned, we have the flyers with this website and also the phone number. We do encourage you to check the site. Right now, the only thing that's up there is the flyer, but we will have information. Once construction starts and we have more information, it will be changing daily. And then that is the project phone number. And as Debbie mentioned, would prefer if you need to talk to someone that you call that rather than ask the contractor. They're busy building the project, so we're here to do outreach and they're going to build it. So we do thank you for your interest in coming. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any other questions, and take your time. We'll be here if there's any questions while you're looking at the boards. Thank you.
Thank you very much.